Good morning, students. So we are studying pollination, and in pollination we are studying kinds of pollination. We have already studied. The first one is autogamy. Okay, the next one is zenatogamy. So we are going to study what zenatogamy. Okay, so in the zenatogamy, the transfer of pollen grain from anther to the stigma of different flower of the same plant, okay, is said to be zenatogamy. And if it is a functionally cross pollination, I want to tell you one more thing. It is functionally a cross pollination but genetically self pollination, because it has no variation. Why? Because it has no variation. An example of zenatogamy is maize. What? Maize is the example of zenatogamy. Okay, so here it completed zenatogamy. Next we are going to study is xenogamy. Xenogamy is also known as allogamy. What? Allogamy. Allogamy. Okay. In this type, the transfer of pollen grain from anther to the stigma of a different plant. मतलब क्या होता है, इसमें फ्लावर तो अलग है, साथ साथ प्लांट भी अलग अलग है. ठीक है, तो ये हो जाएगा आपका xenogamy. Okay. One more thing I want to tell you is about xenogamy. This is the only type of pollination which, during pollination, brings genetically different types of pollen grains to the stigma. And the example of zenatogamy is papaya. Okay, the example of zenatogamy is papaya. So we have completed pollination and the types of pollination. So we have studied the three kinds of pollination: autogamy, zenatogamy, and xenogamy. Okay, so next we are going to study the agents of pollination. So agents of pollination can be two types: abiotic and biotic. Abiotic means living, abiotic means non living, and biotic means living. So first we study that abiotic. So the example of abiotic is, there are two example of abiotic is, first one is wind and the second one is water. So these are the example of abiotic, which means non-living. So whenever pollination occur through wind, it's said to be एनोफिली. ठीक है, जब भी विंड के थ्रू पॉलिनेशन होता है तो उसको हम लोग क्या कहते हैं, उसको हम लोग ANEPHILY एनोफिली. दिस इज सेड टू बी व्हेन पॉलिनेशन अकर ड्यू टू द विंड. ठीक है, और जब भी वाटर के थ्रू होगा तो उसको हम क्या कहेंगे, उसको हम लोग हाइड्रोफिली कहेंगे. क्या कहेंगे? हाइड्रोफिली. pollination occur due to water is said to be hydrophily. Okay, so we are going to discuss wind and water in detail, but before starting this, let's also know the abiotic components, means living components. So living factors are insects, bats are also the agent who are responsible for the pollination. And one more thing I want to tell you, that insect means if the pollination is occur through insect is known as, is said to be anatomophily. What? Anatomophily. PHILLY. It's anatomophily. And if pollination is occur through bat, is said to be clerestophily. What? Clerestophily. CHERISTOPHILLY. It's said to be clerestophily. Okay, means these are the pollination which occur due to the different organisms or agent. So now we are going to study in detail pollination through wind and water. Whenever the pollination is occur through wind, so some characters, first we are going to study wind. So whenever the pollination is occur through wind, some characteristic feature are seen. Okay, in some characteristic features are seen in the anther or in anther pollen grain or stigma. तो विंड में जो पॉलन ग्रेन होते हैं, ठीक है, पॉलन ग्रेन, उनका अगर हम लोग बात करें तो इट शुड बी लाइट एंड नॉन स्टिकी. व्हाट? इफ़ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट pollen grain, then it should be light and non-sticky. It should be light and non-sticky. Why non-sticky? Because if it is sticky, it can be stick anywhere. Okay, so it should be non-sticky. And if we talk about stigma, it should be large and feathery. What? Feathery. Okay. One more thing. So there is a question which is always asked, that name the part of the flower which the tassels of the corn cob represent. What? Tassels, tassels, tassels of the corn cob represent. तो ये आपका क्वेश्चन है जिसका आंसर होता है आपका विच रिप्रेजेंट स्टिग्मा एंड स्टाइल. ठीक है, तो ये आपका स्टिग्मा और स्टाइल को रिप्रेजेंट करता है. और इसका पूछा जाता है ऑलवेज, इट शुड बी आस्क्ड व्हाट इज़ द कॉमन एग्जाम्पल. तो द ग्रास इज़ द कॉमन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ विंड पॉलिनेशन. तो एक बार हम समझ लेते हैं मतलब क्या है. जब भी हवा का बहाव से जो पॉलन ग्रेन है जो कि बहुत लाइट हैं और नॉन स्टिकी हैं, उड़ते हुए कहाँ पहुँचते हैं? फीमेल के पास पहुँच जाएंगे, मतलब स्टिग्मा के पास. और वो ईज़िली उसको क्या कर लेगा? ट्रैप करेगी. ठीक है, और वो पॉलन ग्रेन जो है मतलब उसके बाद क्या होगा? पॉलन ट्यूब मतलब बनेगी. ठीक है, जब इसको वो ट्रैप कर लेंगे तो पॉलन ट्यूब बन जाएगी और फिर क्या हो जाएगा? आपका फर्टिलाइजेशन हो जाएगा. तो ये सारी चीज़ें हमने समझ ली. अब नेक्स्ट हम पढ़ेंगे नेक्स्ट ऑडियो में. ओके.